Hi, Rajat. And for all those who are listening, we are doing an episode with Rajat on Thoughtful Thursdays. While Thoughtful Thursdays is about all the interesting things that I hear from people throughout the week. But this one is special because Rajat and I go a long way, and it would be fantastic to hear her on her ideas about health and nutrition. So, Rajat, over to you for a quick introduction about yourself.
Thanks, Priya. And likewise, it is equally fantastic to be doing this formally with you. So, for everybody else, I'm Rajat. I'm the co founder of Nature and Thought. I'm in the spirit of superheroes today. So, I'm going to say that Nature and Thought is like the Avengers of the nutrition world. We are all about fighting for purity, efficacy, and trust. And that's just a little bit about me to kickstart a conversation.
Great. So, Rajat, tell me, why are you so passionate about what you're doing?
So, Priya, for me, if I go back to my origin story, so to speak, right? Every superhero has an origin story. I think it started way back in 2005 when my father was diagnosed with a progressive neurological condition. It's called progressive supranuclear palsy. And I was in the United States studying at that moment. And if people were, the doctors, everybody, there was no medication available. So they said, oh, bring the turmeric. And I'm like, turmeric? I was surprised. I'm like, turmeric's available in India. But they said, no, just go for those supplements. You need curcumin and all of that. I said, great. So I would go, and it was like navigating a jungle without a map. I had no idea what I was looking for. And really was lost for trying to find the right solution for my dad then. To be very honest, it was always going to be a little too late for my dad, because these kind of things are preventative more, curative less. So while it was our last hope and our last Hail Mary, it at least gave us some kind of a way to say, kuch to kar sakte hain, we can try something out. And it's always great to have the little bit of hope available for you to tap into. So let's fast forward. And, for me, that was my point and my turning point when I got super interested in health. And for anybody who has an ailing family member, we all know that we all have to become mini doctors ourselves. Luckily for me, I always had that mindset. So I used to love researching. So I started really getting deep into the science, deep into different conditions. And I also knew this is, could be passed on generation to generation. So this is something I'm going to have to be very careful about. And if there's anything I can do, follow epigenetics, try to do everything differently, not the good stuff from my dad, but the bad stuff, not exercising, let's not do that. That will make a huge difference. So that was really my reason for getting into this. And as luck would have it, I got married into a family who has a great pharmaceutical setup. We were pioneers of novel drug delivery systems in India. We immediately realized this is a problem area. People are not utilizing these things correctly. So where I lacked a map to navigate, we wanted to become that map for others. And provide them the right guidance, the right information, so that they don't have to go through the same thing. And yes, come up with amazing ingredients, amazing products as a byproduct.
So this ingredient story is fascinating because you said turmeric and it is there in our house. And I'm finding this story fascinating. This is an ingredient that we have all been brought up with. We know it. And when you heard turmeric and you looked a bit shocked. Tell me, why are these ingredients that we know and are commonly found, why have they not been used, and why is this becoming so important in India today?
That's a great question. And, when you say that we know these ingredients, I don't think we really know them. 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, turmeric, yes, it's great for your cold, cough, your basic other things. But I didn't even understand the science behind it. So number one, if you take turmeric's example again, it's not something that's soluble in water. Or it's not dispersible in water, again, scientific term. But when it's not dispersible in water, when our blood, which is 80% water, it's not going to disperse in our water, in our blood, and it's not going to reach our different organs. So that's your number one problem. Number two is when we buy any turmeric, we buy the root, we make our pickles out of it. You don't know what's the heavy metal content. You don't know what's the pesticide. There is no way to decide that. And even then, even if you said you get the best turmeric on earth, the active content will be so less that you'd have to consume insane amounts of it to really get the therapeutic benefit. It's like the person who said, and we like to believe that, drink a 1 glass of wine for resveratrol. It's a joke. 1 glass of wine gives you nothing in terms of resveratrol. It, yes, makes you happy if you enjoy the drink, good for you. But it is not going to give you any therapeutic dose of resveratrol, which is going to be anti-aging or onco, whatever. So that's really the science behind the ingredients is kind of very important, because without that, you are just blindly following,
it's just hearsay otherwise.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of placebo effect at the end of the day, which is great, but you do need to have all the right information.
So what are so what are the 3 ingredients? Being a founder, how did you hit upon those 3 ingredients or 3 products that, I know the products that you have. I did a little bit of studying. I've also used it, and it's very beneficial. But how did you think about these 3?
I would love for there to be a very intelligent answer to this.
No intelligent, however you found it.
No, so, and I would not even want to take credit for this, because this was all done much before I joined this bandwagon. But for me, or for us, turmeric was the lowest hanging fruit, right? You have products, you have regular turmeric powder, which is being sold. You have your turmeric, which is being sold as a supplement. It says 95% turmeric, very high dose. Great product, but high dose, 3 capsules. And then you have your bioavailable turmeric, which is laden with synthetic excipients, so which is not great for something that you'd want to take every day. Because for me, like, I've been taking our turmeric for like 5 years now. Same thing for my son, same thing for my dog, same thing for my mom. So I can't be giving them something that I think long-term is going to have a problem. So that became the reason we said, okay, where is it that we can take our technology and apply it to an ingredient? Because if I can't make a difference, I'd rather let somebody else do what they're doing. So it really had to fit in well with our ideology, with our technology platforms. Same thing when you think about ashwagandha, a great product, but again, high dose, you need to take it multiple times a day. We are one of the pioneers of novel drug delivery, in fact, globally. So what that means is I can take a product and I can make it long acting. So now I'm able to give you a small dose. And these small doses, Priya, are also very important, because you and me both know, if both of us were asked to take something 3 times a day, 2 times a day, multiple days in a row, we're going to take once, and eventually we'll forget about it.
Yes, absolutely.
So that compliance becomes extremely important.
No, I think what you said is important as a behavior, and that's the business that I'm in, right? As you said, if you ask people to take it 3 times a day, they're not going to do it. But if I can understand that, and if I can make a small dose, and it can last the entire day, the sustained release, that's far more effective, right? Rather than say, take it 3 times. And our mind says let's not do that. And I think that's a very important thought that you brought about. But tell me, what is happening in this world where we're talking so much about health and nutrition and supplements? What has happened in the last 10 years where there's so much of focus today, much more than what it was?
Yeah, no, I think because there's a lot of education available. There are a lot of people talking about this. For me, my father's health was my wake-up call. But although I call it a wake-up call, I don't think I did much about it till the pandemic hit, right? The pandemic gave a lot of us the luxury of time. I mean, I hate to put it in a positive light, but we all had extra free time
Yes.
on our hands. And that's when, I started walking a lot more. I was like, I've got to move. I picked up new hobbies. So I think for all of us, the pandemic was really a big turning point. And I think that coupled with the amount of information, it is the information age. Today, earlier people used to make fun of like people Googling things on WebMD. I mean, that's also only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But today you could Google so many different things. You could ask ChatGPT, hey, these are my symptoms. What could I possibly have? So the accessibility to information, to diagnose, to understand is insane. And I think there is literally no excuse today for you to not do something about it. Even some things like mental health, such a taboo. Like I know 10 years ago with my mom, we told her that I think you should see a psychiatrist. She was primary caretaker for my dad, all of this going on. And she laughed at us, right? She said, are y'all crazy? And she made fun of us. She said, oh, my daughters want to take me to a doctor to get my brain checked. But today, if I tell her the same thing, she's like, yeah. And whether it is the celebrities, the world at large, I think everybody is normalizing talking about it. Everybody's encouraging each other to take the right steps. And I think that's extremely important.
I like what you said, taking the right steps. Earlier, you spoke about the small dose. And I think it is this creating that consciousness and people around you doing it also makes you feel that those are the steps that you need to take. Those are the moves. I think that you need to make that effort towards your health. Interesting. So, what do you think are the top 3 priorities today that people should think about from a health, nutrition, and supplements perspective? What should they be doing? Because you're not going to change your habit overnight, right? It's not going to be a magic potion that's going to change, and we all know that. So, what do you think? How does one get to doing these small changes and steps in one's life?
I think you have a better person right in your office to answer that question. And I'm talking about Ashton. But I would say that for me, Priya, it is about educating yourself, right? Like I said, there is absolutely no reason and excuse today to not know and understand. So listen to the experts. Make your own choices, but definitely be willing to learn and listen. And I think for me, like the number one thing, we know these things are kind of obvious, but sleep, right? Prioritizing sleep today. For me, if I had to say, just for instance, 2 days ago, I had to go for my swimming class. So I'm learning swimming at this age still. I've tried it 4 times, but I'm still learning and attempting it. So I had to go for my swimming class, but I slept late for some reason and I was just tired in the morning. And generally, I would have said, but I have to exercise. So I'm going to go swimming. But I said, no, I think for me to catch up on my sleep was more important. So I would today trade sleep over exercise. So if you look at my own transition, the more self-aware, educated myself would say, I have to exercise. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go today and exercise. The more evolved me now is saying that, no, I will exercise, but if I've missed out on sleep, I'm going to sleep first. So catching up on your Z's, I think it's such an easy one that everybody should follow. And I don't think that's like climbing Mount Everest. It's like climbing a small hill, be consistent in your sleep schedule, sleep at the same times, walk out of parties early if you have to, but definitely catch up on your sleep. I think is big. And I definitely think another big one for me is, start. If you had to start small, start taking some supplements. I mean, I have to say that. Take at least, say, our golden hug, right? It's your once a day, great potent turmeric for so many different pleiotropic actions. And last one, I do have one more. It's accountability, right? So we want to be a brand that's accountable. We would like to have that, I feel accountability goes both ways. So get somebody who you can be accountable to, right? Document it's that generation of taking selfies. So it's okay. Indulge, take that selfie, document your own journey, and every day you will see how far you've come.
I think your top tip today is sleep. And in fact, I was telling another friend that just sleep. And he said, yeah, that's such a great idea. And and I'm hearing myself, and I said, that means we are not sleeping enough. Or we are saying, no, I think, I'll sleep later.
Yeah.
What I hear from you is that sleep is so essential for the recovery of our body,
Correct.
for our functioning and whatever we're doing. And I like what you said, the more evolved we. And I think, Rajat, what is nice is that you're a founder of, you're running this organization, you're doing so many things, you're learning new things. And yet, the most simple advice was don't miss out on your sleep. And I
Yeah.
think that's a great tip. And coming from you, because most people say, yeah, everybody says this. But coming from you, because you're doing a lot, but you're saying sleep is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second important tip is what is that one thing that you need to do? And as you said, your golden hug, your turmeric. It has so many things that can help with the body, right? And inflammation, if I
Yes.
bring it down to one thing, and we don't even know what inflammation is and what it does. And I think what a fantastic tone to this conversation. Anything else that you feel, Rajat, being, I think the week, it's nutrition week, and we are in the, mood for, a friend asked, why are women neglecting their nutrition? And we were
Yeah.
talking about women Horlicks for some reason. Is there a reason? Is there something that you feel that women in India are neglecting nutrition, not particular so much? Is there something like that in your mind?
No, I mean, I would base my answer more on the evidence I see around me. I think as women, we tend to always prioritize others. Sadly, it's kind of built into our DNA. But I think we're all learning to, and we're constantly being coached today to prioritize ourselves. And I think a lot of that neglect comes because of us not prioritizing ourselves. So I would definitely say, I think for women, the same thing, right? Co-parent, find your husband to take care of the child too. Find your village to take care of your child too. Don't be the only person who's giving up on your sleep. Make sure your supplements are not just to be bought for your husband or your child. Think about what's required for you as well. And one big thing, I think, I had this conversation with a nutritionist and an active trainer, and she was talking about how doing weights, having the right amount of protein. And we have this in our mindset that, oh, girls have to be like dainty and whatever, and you have too much protein or you do too many weights, you'll become like a muscle builder. And that's all nonsense. But it is, right? This is what we are.
No, I'm laughing because this is such a tape in our mind, right?
Yeah. So, and like today, I'm learning that even like a 8-year-old kid, there's no reason for them to not use their body weight, use light weights if they need to. It's not going to stunt their height. But we are hardwired over years for some of this information. So that's why the education kind of comes back to say you have to learn to read. You know how to read. You have to learn to read the right things, follow the right people. Don't kind of go into fads and what's cool, but really kind of stay true and think about your future self, right? Because you're making an investment in yourself, and that's the best kind of investment there is.
And I think what you said to women and nutrition is prioritizing yourself. The other thing is you're not only buying things for your family, but you need to buy things for yourself and an investment into the future self.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lovely piece of advice. And on this good note, I just want to say this has been a fabulous conversation, interesting thoughts, and interesting tips for us to follow, because it's the one thing that we need to do is sleep, rest, and we should we should take this really, really strongly as this advice comes from Rajat, who's really evolved in her own thinking in what she does, she practices it. And I like the way she says she's accountable for what she does. And thank you so much for listening to us.
Thanks, Priya.
Thank you, Rajat.